Welcome back to High Stakes, where we help you elevate your betting strategy. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button to stay updated with our daily content. Looking for exclusive access to premium betting picks? Join us on Patreon. Links are available in the comments section below. Stay ahead of the game with High Stakes. The 80th Gator Bowl, because nothing screams excitement like a first-time meeting between Duke and Ole Mississippi. We've got all the classic drama here. Duke, with their mid-season meltdown and late-season rally, and Ole Miss, who was almost in the college football playoff until a loss to Florida knocked them back down to earth. The Blue Devils, 9-3 SU, 8-3-1 ATS, squeaked out a win over Wake Forest in their last game in November, and now they'll face a Rebels team, who won 26-14 against Mississippi State. That's apparently trying to salvage what's left of their season. Duke's season? Oh, it's a masterpiece. After starting 5-0, they hit a little speed bump, losing 3 out of 4. But don't worry, they finished strong with a 3-game winning streak to bring the drama to a head. They're bowl-bound for the 3rd straight season. And hey, they've won their last 5 bowl games, so that's something. But let's talk offense. They averaged 341.5 total yards per game, leaning heavily on the pass, 245 yards. Too bad both their starting QB and running back jumped into the transfer portal. No biggie though. They've got a 3rd-string guy, Henry Bellin, ready to face one of the nation's top pass rushes. No pressure, Henry, just the entire Duke football legacy resting on your shoulders. Oh, and Peyton Jones will probably be the one carrying the ball, at least when he's not dodging defenders. On defense, Duke is actually decent. They've got the best pass defense in the ACC, and we're 2nd in the conference in sacks. So, yeah, their secondary might make some noise, but I wouldn't bet on them stopping Ole Miss' juggernaut offense. Speaking of which, Ole Miss had one of the best offenses in the country. They were all about throwing the ball around, ranking 2nd nationally in passing yards per game, 343.6. Jackson Dart, who threw for 3,875 yards and 25 touchdowns, will be doing his thing, throwing to his trusty targets like Jordan Watkins. They can score, sure, but their defense is what's really worth noting. They're holding opponents to just 13.9 points per game and have the top pass rush in the nation. The Rebels' defense will be licking their chops as they get ready to pounce on Duke's QB disaster. And let's not forget the injuries. Duke's missing a few players, including a wide receiver and a tight end, while Ole Miss has some banged-up running backs and defensive backs. But hey, no big deal. It's the Gator Bowl. What's a few key injuries when you're trying to make a statement? This is Duke's first Gator Bowl appearance, and while they've had some success in bowls before, their offense is a disaster right now. Against Ole Miss? Yeah, I'm not feeling too optimistic for them. Their 3rd-string QB is going to have a great time with that pass rush coming for him. Meanwhile, Ole Miss will roll with their high-powered offense and solid defense, probably putting up at least 40 points and cruising to a win. Take Ole Miss, giving the points, because at this point, it's hard to imagine Duke keeping up. And for the under? Well, with Duke's offense in shambles and the time off for both teams, expect a slow start and an eventual grind to a low-scoring finish. Ole Miss might put up their points, but Duke won't contribute enough to break 51. So, take Ole Miss -17 and the under 51. You're welcome. For the 80th Gator Bowl matchup between Duke and Ole Miss, here are some game prop picks to consider. Ole Miss total points over 35.5. Ole Miss has one of the most potent offenses in the nation, averaging over 37 points per game. With Duke's offense in disarray due to key player departures and a 3rd-string quarterback starting, the Rebels should have plenty of opportunities to rack up points. Their passing game, led by Jackson Dart, is one of the most prolific in the country, and the Blue Devils have struggled to stop high-powered offenses. Ole Miss will likely have no problem crossing 35.5 points in this game, especially with Duke's defense facing pressure from a high-flying offense. Duke total points under 14.5. Duke's offense is in serious trouble coming into this game. The Blue Devils will be starting a 3rd-string quarterback, Henry Bellin, who has thrown just 1 pass this season. Additionally, Duke is missing key players in both the backfield and wide receiver positions, leaving them incredibly thin offensively. Ole Miss defense is strong, with one of the top pass rushes in the nation and a solid secondary. Considering these factors, it's highly unlikely Duke will put up more than 14.5 points in this game. First half total points under 24.5. With both teams having had a long layoff before this game, expect a slow start to this matchup. Duke's offense is going to struggle from the outset, especially with their 3rd-string quarterback and depleted roster. Meanwhile, Ole Miss could start slow as well, given their ability to ease into a game and build momentum. The first half will likely feature more punting than scoring, with both teams potentially feeling some early game rust. With Duke unable to sustain drives and Ole Miss perhaps taking a more methodical approach early on, the total first half points staying under 24.5 seems like a solid prediction. Jackson Dart, over 2.5 passing touchdowns. Jackson Dart has been a key player for Ole Miss, throwing for 3,875 yards and 25 touchdowns this season. Against a Duke defense that's good but has been decimated by injuries and transfers, Dart should have ample opportunities to light up the scoreboard. With Ole Miss' high-powered offense, Dart is bound to have multiple touchdown passes, particularly with his reliable receiving options like Jordan Watkins and Trey Harris. With Duke's secondary reeling, the over on 2.5 passing touchdowns looks very promising. Ole Miss sacks over 3.5. Duke's offensive line has been inconsistent, and the third-string quarterback will be under significant pressure all game. Ole Miss is one of the best pass rushes in the nation, ranking first overall in the country in sacks. Princely Umamulin and Sunarine Perkins have been disruptive all season, and they'll have a field day against Duke's makeshift defensive line. With Duke likely having to pass more than they would prefer, the Rebels will capitalize on the pressure, surpassing 3.5 sacks easily. Total turnovers over 3.5. With Duke's third-string quarterback starting and Ole Miss boasting an aggressive defense, turnovers could be a big factor in this game. Bellin, who has minimal game experience, will be facing a ferocious pass rush and a secondary that can capitalize on mistakes. Ole Miss will likely force at least 1 or 2 interceptions, and given Duke's limited offensive options, a fumble or 2 is also in play. Considering Ole Miss' ability to create turnovers, 11 interceptions this season, expecting more than 3.5 turnovers is a solid bet. Duke total rushing yards under 100.5. Duke's ground game has been one of their more consistent offensive weapons, but with their top running back and offensive playmakers either injured or in the transfer portal, they will struggle to generate much on the ground. Peyton Jones is expected to carry the load, but he will be running against one of the toughest run defenses in the country. Ole Miss defense is second best in the nation against the run, allowing just 83.5 yards per game. Duke will likely be forced to pass more than they would like, and without much of a ground game to rely on, they'll struggle to break the 100-yard mark rushing. Ole Miss to score first. Given Duke's offensive struggles and Ole Miss' fast-paced offense, it's almost a given that Ole Miss will score first in this game. Duke's offense is likely to be stagnant early on, especially with the uncertainty at quarterback, while Ole Miss should come out firing. With a potent passing game and a solid ground attack, it's hard to imagine Ole Miss not getting on the board first. With their ability to move the ball quickly and efficiently, they'll likely take an early lead and set the tone for the rest of the game. These game prop picks reflect the mismatch between Ole Miss' high-powered offense and Duke's patchwork team, especially with key injuries and a third-string quarterback. Expect Ole Miss to control the game from the start and put up significant numbers across various statistical categories. And that's a wrap on today's video, folks. I'm sure you're absolutely on the edge of your seat, eagerly awaiting the next thrilling installment of this channel. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, because clearly you don't want to miss any of our daily videos. I mean, who could live without them? And while you're at it, smash that notification bell, so you can be the first to know when we drop more gems like this. Oh, and if you're looking for some premium picks, because, let's be honest, who isn't? Join our Patreon. It's where the real magic happens. Premium picks, insider info, and possibly even some mildly entertaining banter. So, hit that link, and we'll see you on the inside. Until next time, enjoy the game, make those bets, and remember, you're welcome.